Hey everyone, my name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, so sit back, relax and enjoy. I'm not their co-worker, I'm shopping. So this is kind of funny. I've seen so many stories on here about being confused for a worker by customers, but it's rare to be confused as a worker by another worker. This happened around Christmas, so as you can guess, I had some shopping to do. Thing is that I live with my parents and they drive me to and from work, since I don't drive. So I had to be secretive about getting their presents. My only opportunity to get their gifts was during my lunch break at work. The shopping plaza I work in doesn't have many stores, but it does have a large Target. I decided I would grab their gifts there and head back to work and be done in about 10 minutes. What I didn't take into account was that since it's Christmas, my manager had the whole store wear red instead of our normal uniform, and it just so happened that my work pants were beige jeans. You can see where this is going. So the time comes. I clock out for my lunch break and walk over to the Target. I walked in, and since I already knew that I was getting both my parents' electronics, I made a beeline for that section. However, I would be interrupted several times on my way over by customers asking for help. It was then I realized how I was dressed, and honestly, a quick "sorry, I don't work here" was all it took for most people, but others I would have to show my name tag with my store's name on it. I was stopped, I think a total of 7 times before the most hilarious confusion occurred. While I was waiting for one of the actual workers to open a case and grab something I wanted to purchase, an old man walked up to me and asked if I could help him get something. I told him I didn't work there and he apologized right before an actual worker walked by. He called her over and she stops quickly and looks at us for a moment before she just says, "Nope, she can help you," and points to me. I'm absolutely dumbfounded. I can understand how I would be confused by customers, but how could you confuse me as your co-worker? The old man looks back to me and says, "Oh, you do work here." I laugh nervously and say, "No, I don't know why she said that," and I showed him my name tag. He looks at it and begins to laugh. "Huh, I guess she just didn't feel like working." This made me laugh and we went our separate ways after wishing each other good luck with shopping. The employee I was waiting for got the items for me and I got out of there with 10 minutes left in my break to eat. Okay though, plot twist, the other employee that they thought was an employee wasn't actually an employee, it was another customer, so there was just 3 customers mistaking each other. OAP gets mad at my lack of knowledge. So I work at a little independent cafe down a little alley, and our uniform is black trousers and shoes with a black polo with the cafe's name written on the back in green with green highlights on the sleeve and collar, which is important for the next part. I just got to work the day after Boxing Day and stock was a bit low because of everywhere being closed and a rush of customers on Christmas Eve. So my boss told me to go to a local supermarket to pick up some essentials. As a part of our uniform, we wear an apron, but I decided to take this off for the errand. I walked through the doors and after picking up a few items and carrying them under my arm, since I forgot a trolley, a man about 65 or so walks up to me holding a single AA battery and says, "Someone must have dropped this on the floor. I don't know what to do with this, so can I give it to you?" I think nothing of it at first, but I later realize it's probably due to the similarity of uniforms. I carry on with my shopping, and just as I'm about to queue for the checkout, an old woman, probably slightly older than the previous man, walks up to me and asks whether I know where something was. I can't remember what it was, so let's say celery for argument's sake. I say, "No, sorry, you can ask a member of staff," as the supermarket had recently had a layout change. She replies with, "Well, shouldn't everyone who works here know where stock is?" in a patronizing tone. I reply politely with, "I'm afraid I don't work here," to which she replies, "Well, why are you wearing the uniform?" I try to show the text on the back of my shirt, but she's not having any of it. That is clearly the uniform. I finally managed to say I don't work here. I work at the cafe off Main Street. I'm only here to pick up some groceries. And after all this saga, the 8 words she comes out with were, "Well, you didn't have to be so rude." Yeah, come on, how dare you be the rude one? Rude people these days. Manager saves me from an entitled lady. I am a 15-year-old Indian boy. This all happened in Hindi, so excuse my English. I look older and am often mistaken as such. So I was in my local supermarket looking for apple juice. My mum was sick at the time, so apple juice helped her not to puke out and eat/drink something. Then I heard a soft ahem behind me, and a lady, looked to be in her 20s, I recognized her as the lady who created a lot of the unwanted trouble in our neighborhood, asked me where the toilet papers were, and I said, "I think they are at the last aisle, I'm not sure." And the lady said in a condescending voice, "What do you mean by I am not sure? Aren't you supposed to know that?" Before I could process that she thought I was an employee, this huge man shows up, who was the manager, and says, "Ma'am, you can't say something like that. He doesn't work here, and he is a kid. How could you confuse him for an employee?" Finally realizing what had happened, I avoided the awkwardness and went straight for the counter. I never saw that woman again except for when she had an encounter with my dad. That's for another day. I can understand maybe looking a bit older, but a 15-year-old, surely a woman's gonna realize that a 15-year-old doesn't work there. Darn those smoke detectors. I was sent off to Publix, a grocery chain with wide range of organic choices today, as the loin fruit demanded the loaf of meat for the evening meal, and I needed more supplies. So I stopped in the aisle with the light bulbs and adhesive options, since our key holder decided to jump off the wall. Now, to give you one better idea, I was wearing a plain grey lounge hoodie and these, which look like pajama bottoms. As I am reading the boxes on the adhesive tape options, an older gent strolled in while squinting at his phone held at arm's length. "Do you happen to be a battery expert?" Not really, but I am happy to help." I took a look at his phone to see a picture of a battery that I happened to be familiar with, as it stumped me for a couple of weeks until I finally found it. "Let me guess. Your smoke detector has been screeching at you. You are an expert." "Nope, just a mum with kids who are scared of it." The older gent realizes my clothes. "Oh my gosh, you don't work here." "I don't, but I'm happy to help read the small print. They don't have them here, but you can get them at XYZ. He thanked me and went on his way. It was adorably wholesome. You see, that's a good interaction, OP being really nice and the older guy being really nice. We like to see those. I hope this belongs here. This just happened. I was waiting in line at customer service of a big chain store while I happened to see and hear an older woman berating an employee in the self-checkout. The self-checkout is 12 or fewer items, and the woman clearly had at least 3 times that in clothing. She was screaming about the one employee manning the self-checkout for not bagging her items. It's not the employee's job, self-checkout. So I'm watching this go down and it keeps getting worse. The lady is saying things like, "You don't even care, I don't have enough bags," as the employee is refilling the bags. After I finished my transaction, I walked up to her and said, Excuse me, but you are being very rude to these employees for no good reason at all. You should have gone into an actual line where you would have received the help you are demanding. Not to mention, you are holding up the line for other customers. You clearly have more than 12 items. I don't know what your problem is, lady, but you need to stop. The look on her face was great. Then she proceeded to start yelling at the employees if I even work there, and how could I talk to her that way? The best part, I got the items I needed, went to the self-checkout, and she was still there. Do people still not realize what the self-checkout is for? Yeah, I remember like 10 years ago maybe when they first put them in. That can kind of be confusing because it's new, but it's been so long, you surely should know how to use them by now. A two-fer for your viewing pleasure. I've been a party to two such instances in my life. I was at a Wawa convenience store with my medicated, overdressed, bleach blonde, fake tanned mother-in-law, who is 54 but acts 14. She was applying multiple layers of sweetener to an iced coffee for minutes upon minutes, loudly jangling her arm bracelets and chatting up every person within 18 feet of her. I was standing off to the side patiently and quietly waiting for the attention whoring to end, hoping my behavior would demonstrate that while I was with her, I was not like her. You know what I'm talking about. A large black man in a Domino's pizza uniform walks by. I notice him as he steps to the fountain machine to get a soda. Mother-in-law looks up and she literally screams, "Excuse me, sir, I need more sugar." He turned around slowly. His face, oh my god, his face. He was not having it. He didn't speak. I swear everyone in the store went silent, just waiting for this man to say what we must have all been thinking about this WDB. After what felt like weeks, he slowly brings his hands to his chest and points to the huge Domino's logo on his polo. Mother-in-law cracks into hysterical laughter and starts word-saddling some sort of explanation. I think I set my coffee down and backed out of the store. If you're still questioning what a hot mess she is, while still in the parking lot of this Wawa, she pulled up to a fire truck at the pump and yells to the driver, "Tell your friend I think he's hot." Cue more hysterical laughter as she floors it out of the lot and fishtails her Camaro around the corner. Yes, terrifying. The other story was at a Target in the early 90s when I was 12. My mum pulled me out of school for a girls' day to the next town over. I was shopping while wearing a nice red shirt, an obvious invitation for trouble nowadays, but back then people generally had the decency to ask if one was employed, if a name tag was not immediately visible. This was long before Karen, long before Get Me Your Manager was a daily part of working with the public. I was in the cosmetics department when I was rammed into from behind by a very elderly woman pushing a cart. "Are you going to help me or not?" she barked. "Oh, do you need help with something, ma'am?" I asked, because she was so shrunken, so old, I thought maybe she was dying in this Target. Plus, I was a kid and was taught to treat my elders with respect, even though she nearly took me out with her dang cart. It was a different time. She snarled, "I've been yelling at you for 10 minutes to get me this perfume out of the case. Now, are you going to help me or not?" I was a bit baffled as there had been precisely zero amount of yelling going on around me as I browsed the lip smackers and caboodles. Also, what? "I don't work here, I'm 12, I said to her, trying not to laugh. "I'm going to speak with your manager, young lady. I've been standing here trying to get your attention for 10 minutes. Now go get him." Somehow, an actual employee happened by and verified I was much too young to be an employee. and if the old lady needed help, she could pick up the red phone and get assistance. Elderly lady was so confused. She was still whining about me as I walked away. This woman went on to raise Karen and all manifestations of her. I'm convinced. Sorry about that. Oh, that mother-in-law though sounds like the worst type of person. Oh, it just grinds my gears listening to that. Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more videos like it, then click on screen right now. And if you never want to miss out on a video, then hit subscribe. But I will see you all very soon.